Let me talk a little bit about expectations in this video. What should you expect to happen if you are a seller selling in the Boise housing market in September of 2023? Now, I work primarily with buyers and sellers in two price ranges, in the $300,000 to $600,000 range and in the $600,000 to $1 million range. These are the numbers that are most relevant to me. And my guess is these are probably the most relevant to you as well. So I want to talk about what you should expect if you are selling a home here in Boise in either of those price ranges. So let me start first with some statistics relating to both of those price points, and then I'll talk about the significance of those numbers afterwards. So in the $300,000 to $600,000 range, last month in Ada County, we sold 307 homes. And on average, these homes sold in 21 days. Currently, we have 401 homes that are still active in that price range, and these homes, on average, have been on the market for 47 days. Now, in the $600,000 to $1 million range, last month we sold 129 homes, and these homes sold on average in 35 days. And currently, there's another 320 homes that are still active here in Ada County that are currently on the market. And these homes have been on market for 59 days. So what all this means is that homes in the $300,000 to $600,000 price range typically sell in about 21 days here in Boise. And homes in the $600,000 to $1 million range typically sell in about 35 days. So here's what I would tell you if you are selling in either of those price ranges. And I'll start with the $300,000 to $600,000 price range. First of all, I would expect to get an offer within about 2 weeks. Probably you would get a fair number of showings in the first weekend. I'm gonna guess maybe 5 showings, maybe a little bit more. And then over the coming week, you get another 5 or so showings. I think within about 2 to 3 weeks, you'll get an offer. And I would expect that offer to be not a lot below your list price. So if you list your home for $450,000, I wouldn't expect the offer to be something like $400,000. It's probably gonna be fairly close to the list price, and depending on the condition and location of your home, you may even get multiple offers. Now, people are still interested in these homes, especially given the high interest rates that we've seen over the past, several months. I just looked yesterday, and the average interest rate on a 30-year fixed mortgage was 7.29%. So if you're buying a home for $450,000, you put 20% down, and you lock in an interest rate of 7%, your monthly payment is going to be $2,461 for principal and interest only. So if you factor in the taxes, insurance, and HOA fees, add on another $250, your monthly payment is gonna be in the $2,700 range for a $450,000 home. So you can see why people are gravitating towards these lower priced homes. So when you do get an offer, here's what my advice to you would be. I would say that you can be somewhat or fairly aggressive when it comes to negotiating with the buyer. And by this, I mean, we're not in the market yet where all of the closing costs automatically go to the seller side. Buyers are still paying their title insurance, usually. They're gonna be paying their appraisal fees. They're gonna be paying the HOA transfer fee. So I wouldn't automatically assume that that would be a seller cost line item. And I also would encourage you as the seller not to let the buyer nickel and dime you when it comes to inspections. Undoubtedly, the inspector is going to find a loose doorknob in your house. He's gonna find a leaky faucet in the bathroom and maybe some painting that needs to be touched up throughout your house. These are not items that I think you should automatically pay just to grab on to any and every offer and any and every buyer that may be interested in your house. I think there's some room for negotiation there. But the most important point here is I would be hesitant to take a contingent offer in this price range. There's enough non-contingent buyers in the pool of interested buyers in the $300,000 to $600,000 range that you don't have to just take any and every offer that may come your way. And the reason is a lot of these buyers are actually first-time home buyers. So they don't have a home to sell, their money already is in the bank. Their down payment is in the bank and they're ready to buy a house as soon as they find the house that they like. And if they're not a first-time home buyer, they typically are selling a similarly sized and priced home. And these are actually the easiest homes to sell in the market that we are in right now. Now, even though things have slowed down over the past year and a half, homes are still selling, especially in this price range, if they are priced correctly. So I'd be hesitant to take a contingent offer in the $300,000 to $600,000 price range. Now, if you don't get an offer within 2 weeks, I would strongly suggest that you lower the price. You don't want to lose the momentum and you want to find that sweet spot in the market where buyers are going to be interested, because there are buyers who are interested in purchasing homes in the $300,000 to $600,000 range. Now, when it comes to $600,000 to $1 million homes, I actually think that this is the hardest price range to sell here in the Boise housing market. And the reason is that people that are buying homes that are, say, 1.2 million and higher, usually are paying cash for those homes. They're usually not putting 20% down on a $1.5 million home and then financing the rest. I mean, think of it this way. The conforming loan limit in Ada County is $726,200. So if you go above that, if you take a loan for more than $726,000, you're gonna have to take what's called a jumbo loan. You're in jumbo loan territory. So to put some numbers on that, if you're buying a home for $1 million, you put 20% down, your loan is going to be $800,000. So you're gonna have to take a jumbo loan. Now, jumbo loans typically are about a half of a percentage point higher than the average 30-year fixed rate. So if the average is 7.29%, which it was yesterday, you tack on another half of a percentage onto that, you're at about 7.75% on an $800,000 loan. Your payment on that size of a loan will be about $5,800 per month just for principal and interest. Tack on insurance, HOA fees, and taxes, you're gonna be in the $6,500 range per month. No, most people are not going to do that. Most people buying homes in the $1.2 million range and higher are usually going to pay cash. So in that sense, it's a little bit easier to find a buyer for homes that are more expensive. So that's why I think the $600,000 to $1 million range is a tough range to sell right now, because most people buying homes in that price range are going to be financing their homes, and with the interest rate being where it is, your monthly payment is gonna be pretty high. Now, that's not to say that no homes will sell in that price range. It's just that you have to have your expectations properly calibrated. So here's what I would tell you as a seller. If you're selling your home that's listed at, let's say, $800,000 or $900,000, you probably will get an offer within about a month or so. I would say probably take a month, maybe 5 weeks to get an offer. I wouldn't expect to get multiple offers in this price range. And offers usually in this price range will probably be under the asking price, possibly significantly less. Buyers in this price range are looking for any and every discount that they can get because their monthly payment is gonna be pretty high. I would also expect the buyer to ask you, the seller, to cover some of these purchasing costs. So for example, if the house is on a well, it's not gonna be uncommon for the buyer to ask the seller to pay for the well testing, and the buyer may ask the seller to pay for some of the closing costs as well. Now, in addition to that, if you have some problems with the house, I would expect to have to pay for some of that as the seller. We're no longer in the 2021 market where you just list the house and you say, I'm not paying for anything, you pay me. So for example, if there's a problem with the roof, let's say your roof is nearing the end of its life. The inspector says, it's currently not leaking right now, but it's around 25 years old on a 30-year roof. So I'm gonna imagine in the next year or two, you're gonna have to replace the roof. I would expect the buyer to ask you to cover some of that cost because the buyer is already thinking ahead and thinking he's gonna have to replace the roof. I would expect you as the seller to probably have to cover some of that cost. But probably the most important point here is I would expect a lot of the offers that you would get on homes listed between $600,000 and $1 million are going to be contingent offers. And that's because a lot of the people who are buying homes in that price range first have to sell their home before they buy this one. And this is just a hard price range to sell a home in. But I would advise you as a seller to put some guardrails on the contingency if you do accept a contingent offer. You don't want to be tied to a guy for months on end who can't sell his home. So I would suggest putting maybe 2 weeks or a 1 month cap on the contingent sale with a 48-hour bump clause. But if the buyer can't sell his house within 2 weeks or even a month, I would dump him. He's not being aggressive enough with selling his home, and you don't want him to slow you down in your marketing. Because even though you probably will still be marketing your home as a contingent sale, that still limits the amount of exposure that your house will get. So I would suggest 2 weeks, 1 month max, a contingent sale. And if the buyer can't remove his contingency within that period of time, I would move on and try and find another buyer. But having said all that, unless your house is totally different than all the houses in the area, even if you're selling a home within the $600,000 to $1 million range, it really should sell at or near the average days on market, which last month was 34 days here in Ada County. I mean, maybe that'll stretch to 60 days, but if it hasn't sold within 60 days, then I think your house is mispriced. I like to tell my sellers to think of their homes like they do their stocks. You know, my Apple stock 6 months ago was flying through the roof. Today it's down about 15% or so, but none of that actually means anything. It's not that I lost 15% of my stock. My stock is only worth as much as somebody will pay for it the day that I want to sell it. And that's how it is with homes as well. Your house is not worth what it was 2 years ago. Your house is worth what somebody will pay for it today. But whether you're selling a home in the $300,000 to $600,000 range or in the $600,000 to $1 million range, the best advice that I can give you is listen to your agent. It doesn't matter how much real estate you have bought and sold in the past. Your agent is the one who has his pulse on the market. He is the one who's looking at stats on a daily basis, and he is the one who's talking to agents on a daily basis, not you. That's why you hired the agent. Listen to your agent and he will sell your home at fair market value. If you have any real estate needs, please feel free to reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to help you. See you next time.